Well, well, excuse me, wrong video game for Cuba, for countries A through Z. And it was all our country's rich, or someone or whatever says that. The suburbs were designed before our founders were born. There are people who have been attaching me to fake conversations since I was a kid. These are medical families. They've been attaching me to fake conversations with everyone around me too. They've been attaching me to fake drugs, fake alcohol too. These are the people. That's why they've been doing this for a long time. They've been using their religious spots. Everything I say clear and unclear, they can't be honest about. They prevent people short words because they have fake conversations with us. WFSB is in the process of making conversations, having conversations with me regarding how they touch me to fake conversations with themselves. When I caught them with a principal child offender, they're making it worse now. They have a Brendan Leahy involved with a prosecutor named Brian Silver and a former director of the FBI involved with Connecticut, New Britain Superior Court, Hartford courts, and Connecticut's District Court with people before the World Trade Center attack who had roles planting with federal evidences, crimes, child abuses on off campuses through intercities through time. These are elderly abuses too. Has something to do with their roles with the increasingly people who had conversation. Oh, I know him from with conversations with people from boxing gyms I went to, and then mix that with people who fake it. See, the FBI has roles increasingly with people on Franklin Avenue who have roles also. Like for example, a Demoral's Market and a Joel and a Aiello's Kitchen. I never had a class with a Joel or a Joe Demorrow. They've been roles of planting evidences on my street with people caught involved with the principal child abuser, and they have roles of 1 years ago. A Rick CM Faglione. I never tried to contact him in my life. Sought me out to record, confess, demonstrate, confirm. And then about this Leahy guy and a Brian Silver and his roles with my neighbors, compassion is tied to that. And there was also because this is communications with it fraternity at the same time. Right when I came home that day, and he had already graduated. See, these are people that hung around with my neighbor when I was a kid, since they were kids. And I never had a class with him in grammar school. When he came into my grammar school in fourth grade, I never had classes with his friends. Some of them, I don't know the ones I don't know the. In other words, they're playing games because they're trying to bring things between courts. They have roles already with all sides in criminal and civil cases. They have roles putting fake conversations being to die with other foreign and domestic medical families. These are ones with prisons too. They're spreading lies about people. They're all over the internet with allegations because the breaching method used them remotely since founding, pounding drums. James Madison, we were told to be that to explain our founders as the face of James Madison and his plan. And then they went and found the other the other generals. I mean the George Washington and the other founders using James Madison's plan. George Washington agreed to use James Madison's plan because he was extorted. And worse, everyone was factory nature enslaved. That is clear as day. The only reason people still debate that today is because our campuses were designed to divide or unite and maintain self cultivated roles with what can't depend its quality of factory nature aspect. See suits and ties, counters to that, and exceptions where it is relative. Where it is relative, for example, simultaneously, where and how the suburbs were designed tactically denatured with slavery entrenched sickly distinctly north and south through colonial nations that themselves had already been the possession of that which came from some ancient times. That which is referred to now by people as ancient times. But nature itself shows us to break time into three parts, slash three slash five. For example, the value as itself, what really came first, or really was, or what was value first, where we're dealing with the extent we could discern with individual, grouped, and simultaneous details. The simultaneous, the individual, and grouped difference slash S, they come with a hyper difference. That is that identity of value progression, not just as reality, but as the extent of reality that is making more of itself, more of its forever nature through temporary. And heaven and hell were more probably and demonstrably having been scientific terms revealed per the science of pantheism slash hyperpantheism. Because too, there was the distinction between the invisible and the hyper invisible, but still discernible. For example, the parts of speech are about the invisible, but still discernible of English grammar, of the languages. But they're also about, for example, they show that we could discern why and how we need more than one name for the discernment of the complete identity of what a verb is. This is why we have them also referred to as the present participle or as the past participle. And I refer to this as the participle natures because I'm using nature as also a word we need hyper additional from identity to explain because identity is about identity is the nature of volume that is hyper additional nature. And where it is using its volume science, where we are individual group difference slash S and species volume, individual. It's an individual species body of individual bodies. The other species, they have quality aspects in nature, distinct but also non-distinct and simultaneous. They have individual. They have individuals group difference slash S and the species body of volume. Even fish have eyes that look like humanity's eyes. Vaccines. I teach us things, but long. I teach us best in many ways. And so people want to compare though because only they're teaching each age sickly distinctly to use names as premises with thought, to use difference readings of statutes to entertain them, leaving out and having left out, having and or having valued, having been left out by others. Exceptions in exception nature the way nature uses it though. Because increasingly this preaching method showed people already since founding they need to hide things from the past. Because this preaching method correctly knew that nature itself would keep demonstrating a human fact treatment nature preaching method is a scientific value that is inseparable from not just from the science of history. It's inseparable from understanding the science is individually grouped and together too, and trying to understand the original abridgments clearer than day, mistreatments of what Jim Crow laws are about have to do with how we have had phrases like, and why we have had phrases like criminally foreign influence left out from our summaries of some from the summaries of history made to us. Why and how we've had black pupils, which is inseparable from the subject. Why and how we have had it entertained not. So other things, others ourselves, were employed by a human fact treating nature breaching method involved with slavery, therefore way worse. As a sickly distinctly against everyone, so it could discern too. Everyone leaves out or keeps blamed on other things, others, and or on selves. Nature's demonstrations of the breaching method. Otherwise, that person is sensed, and and then it sustained that. And engineered roles employed natures of industries originally and still. Collusion slash S, and with the difference slash S with that. We have the same color eyes, different color eyes, same time, black people. See whites of eyes, don't you? Why we have to be in other countries is because the species volume is abridged and it holds us. It needs us to hold together and it needs us simultaneously to be independent and to be simultaneously to be checking per its estimation of that, per its use of that, its definitions of that. See, but we have other being and haven't been employed. And so this is while the natures of employments, in other words, while they're speaking, they left out how it's all tactically to nature. They can't afford to have what it's actually simultaneously recorded. But people have to do business anything because that's all that was allowed. People, everything was tactically to nature. Now people need not just food and everything from other locations, but now tactical ulterior from how nature wants that. But so we'll just ignore that and have a conversation with nature once inside. You can't. It is inseparable from all things. Because nature's identity is one identity. Its identity relationship to itself. And the value of that are three ways equally inseparable from any subject we could be dealing with or be. It is coming to, from, as, with, and for each thing. Baxi is distinct identity of simultaneous nature. That which is has the other species bodies completely, even birds, with quality aspects like humanity. And where there are passions with this and people jumping, I go in because the behavior descriptions. They're putting fake conversations with medical families. A whole bunch. There's a Chuck Casper too. I don't know his name. I don't know if he said the name Chuck Casper or just Casper. But it's also Harvard Hospital. A guy made the name Dingleberry or Dewberry. They have both those names because also Anthony Agman on Facebook recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed. He has roles in Wethersfield Police. And his brother recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed also with Eric Mendez and people with the name Danielle Perron has something to do with Jonathan Mayano too with a tennis racket, and people that are planting evidences, uses of investigators remotely criminally foreign influenced. Their kids using all these drugs and things like that, and pretending others are all different kinds. all exceptions too. In other words, they're using that to make things up and change what happened because they were the ones rolls with it. You guys have these different kinds of drugs, but meanwhile they're calling it drugs. They're using the difference of that. A whole bunch of people that deal with drugs that are intelligence community involved with people with the name Ray Cololo and a Phil Cololo, Phil, a Phil Cololo. He's also with a Bob Chase with a Whiting Forensics. When I was a kid, and these are also people who confessed before, years before. Mark Violet and Joshua Julian. Mark Violet never had a class with in my life. I walked by him in the cafeteria 2 times. They tried to make a fake exception. He has something to do with his federal evidence. His crimes were born in domestic military on all sides of Trinity College. And people on Zion Street increasingly involved with the Ray Cololo, with some KKK themed, black themed military police involved with the World Trade Center attack, also with the Kuwaiti general's family and deans of Quinnipiac University, deans at CCSU, deans at Trinity College, and involved with a Joshua Stryker too. Attached to me, he's one of the ones with the state judicial branch offices and the state corrections offices. They have people with UPS through time, people that counter the drugs going through there, people that were selling it through there, and collusions where they have roles with prosecutors and judges with all kinds of predicate acts and facts methods. Forgiveness is because the relativity of how they were abused when they were kids with other communicated for our founders than they communicated to have communicated with themselves. In other words, don't change what people say when they mention acts with kids. And like the news, WF, and what I say is clear and what I say is not, like in the typing below this, and why or how it is not. That's also hyper evidential, which is relative. It's needed because they have lawyers involved with scams with them too. They're with the interbranch, various natures of courts and their families leading up to the World Trade Center attack. In that context and since, they've been planting evidences on off crime scenes and campuses and with the news. A whole bunch of people along Route 3 recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, and town lines has something to do with their roles interstates. These are people with New York City. Of course, they have problems in New York City. No one knows how to speak for the law because you can't follow mandated law. You guys want to just look for your title and defend your title. That's why you jump into other people's conversations. That's not how you're supposed to do it. Then you want to pretend you're gonna fight for. Oh well, you have to speak positive about this title. You guys are get on one name and paper. Get on paper. I'll show you how to deal with the child abusers and the people pretending to counter it when you call them up. Do you see them? They're planning. They're repeating about. They're pretending that people are countering the sexual differences because they have the little kids that are unmarked police forms. They have a whole bunch of different countries involved with this Heather Hansen and a Joe DeMauro and a John DeMauro and people on Church Street in Old Weathersfield involved with Hartford Hospital planting fake conversations with me and their teachers involved with this. There's a Dr. Gilmore who pretended I don't even know what he looks like. He worked with Christina Shioka. So increasingly, people with the name Domain too are involved with federal crimes with little girls in my area that men and women had years ago. And his roles with it now from wherever he lives. And his brother is reportedly recorded involved with this too. These are people next to Fox Connecticut News too, involved with all kinds of scams on campuses, including medical and fire. The same ones who with medical campuses, increasingly with the fire. And these are little wimpy people and gay people that they'll start fights with. And people that beg you can and even if you could beat them up, in other words, they're timing everything to plant evidences and having other people record things because of how long they've had all investigators use remotely. When there's differences between black and white, that's because the breaching method assigned those to be. When the counters to it are collusions, that's because the breaching method assigned that to be. We have black and white leaders of Weathersfield, Connecticut, and people with conjunctions and adjacents to the corrections and to the judicial branch offices, involved also on Facebook with the FBI and Weathersfield Police and other police departments with KKK, Confederate flag theme, black theme, and with this Joshua Julian. They should fear God. His roles with this whiting forensics through time. People with overt criminal co-defendants, a former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, involved with them too, and this Daryl Chandler too, his roles too, and with these people intercities with them. I don't even know his family's name. They're involved with Koreans, Italy, Russia. Involved with the corners is the people with the corners of the streets. In other words, and that has something to do with their roles with the Old Town Cafe and with the Bose family. That are Chris Walters and Ray Claw, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, involved with them with the Old Town Cafe with federal crimes with evidences all along that main street and Route 175 with people planting evidences with them at corners of streets, including with Eric Jensen, involved with Meadowgate and along Route 3 and other routes with the state police and as the people that are criminally foreign influence with Weathersfield Police, state police, FBI, other agencies, and foreign and domestic military leading up to the World Trade Center attack in that context and since. It had something to do with their roles too, with their neighbors and the names that are planting slanders and identity theft, fraud, slanders as the ones noted. And these are people with the interbranch forging, switching names, switching sequences. Please report this to Fox Connecticut News. Get them on paper. They're also lying about what they want privacy. They're being coached to use that truth for a lie. Because, in other words, and they're lying about how I would say this here. I wanted the privacy. They won't get on paper. I want it for the little kids. They keep bringing the kids' names up. There are more pictures of this Leahy family's kid too. They're playing games with wire crimes. They're putting fake transcripts. You should fear God for the people who pretend they don't believe. They're changing what people say to allegations, and they're changing what they say. That's a big difference. But the reason they're supposed to change, I'll make allegations or not. And these are increasingly people with the prisons involved with the crime scenes in their campuses and their family members. There are people with the name of Subby Bajerio. I never tried to contact him in my life. All exception nature that would appear, it's all faked by them. In other words, they're putting fake things in databases with this Subby Bajerio and people tied to him, intercities, with Central Connecticut State University, and the people involved with wire crimes, drugs, and medicines, crimes with the kids, and the bodies countering it. And these are with prosecutors and judges and their family members. That's how they're keeping little fakes of integrity at the highest points. In other words, where no one can speak about humanity and the problems we have, because they keep those problems as separated, like nuclear weapons. It's not just nuclear weapons. The suburbs were designed for a breaching method. You keep talking about jobs, and you see those people stacked in New York City. That was only allowed. That was employed. That was only allowed by the breaching method. Anyone tried to do damage control, they were sensed. Even all of us, and that's including even other countries together. We stay suits and ties. Counters to that and exceptions as collusion. Leave that out. That's the evidence. Nature will demonstrate when systems entertain with that breaching method forced to entertain. It employed those demonstrations effectively used to measure and maintain that people have roles blaming them on things other than themselves. You have leaders of the kids that don't know how to speak about the law. So there are a whole bunch of men and women and kids, and with the name Leahy, Brendan Leahy, multiple, some of them are Brendan Leahy, some of them brothers that used to look like each other. And I walked by and they looked at them, and people tell you their name. That's how you know them in a hallway. The one time, in other words, I just remember it like that. In other words, so this is a big thing. You guys can't need to get on paper. They're playing these games with the wire crimes with the schools. They're putting fake transcripts when people catch them with the kids doing this. Then they have criminally foreign influence uses of charges like like harassment. They fabricate the evidence and they use crime method like having a whole bunch of people delete a whole bunch of different messages that say different things and fake things and make confessions all at the same time on different messages. You call back, then they put you home. Then you get another call, and then you call back. Then they make it look like you're the one that was harassing them. That's why I caught them with the principal child defender, the same ones involved with Sandy Hook, intercities, New Britain campuses, Harvard campuses, the spots next to it. A whole bunch of people with the name Scalora too, involved with the Subby Scalora, and too, with the same houses involved further with drugs and medicines, crimes with the kids, and whiting forensics. People countering such inclusions with it, with judges and prosecutors. So there's a Brian Silver who's involved with prosecutors and a Soulsby involved with New Britain Superior Court. And there are men and women with the name Bobby who have roles with federal evidences, crimes, and criminally foreign influence uses of investigators. In the houses on Covington Street, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed roles with them, and the family members of a Gill family that works at Central Connecticut State University with the intelligence community, foreign and domestic. Now they have roles with identity theft, fraud, slanders, putting fake things with their sexual and medical circles and medical database, like New Britain's hospital, Hartford Hospital. These are people on Covington Street next to Central Connecticut State University who have roles with people from Weathersfield, also on Zion Street in Hartford, Connecticut, where they have overt criminal enterprises, private ones, and intercultural people also on off the fire departments with identity theft, fraud, slanders, and pretending passions and emotions against strangers. In other words, too, that's fake motivations because they have so many different countries used by a hyperforeign. It also uses them remotely grouped. So they need to get on paper, one name in sequence. In other words, people keep saying, "Oh, well, come down here and speak." What do you want to speak? Get them on paper. You guys have sick leaders at cities A through Z. Get them on paper. Get them on paper and get them online too. Then they come online. Oh, but that's the law. We can type whatever online. You guys are leaving out exceptions. You have New Britain Superior Court with rape threats with the principal child defender, with the people that I never even had a class with at all that are involved with the ones that exceptions. That was recorded too. Thank God. I love my schools and my teachers. In other words, you see that they give you. In other words, there's no perspective of learning anything unless that's why the kids don't pay attention. You guys have sick people that work with with the intelligence community, make fake exceptions. They time where someone's going to walk, and they'll make a loaded statement, and then pretend they know the person. This is on a mass scale, though. This is at each age. This is increasingly. So this is leading up to the World Trade Center attack from way back. There's a Dan Keene and his mother and he has a father. I don't know if he has other siblings. And there's a Keene memorial and their roles with the programs with the kids, with the intelligence community. That has roles also with Robert Rodriguez and people involved with a whole bunch of different countries and Harvard Hospital all along with a Mayor Gold. Increasingly, people tied to a Mayor Gold I don't know at all, making confessions about their roles with sexual circles. Now, these are the ones that spread lies about other people. And these are the only contexts I know them in. That's what they're playing games. These are the people with Harvard Hospital, too, with judges and prosecutors. They have a Judge Killian for speaking fake things in records, too, with these people. And a Z-Man involved with preceding juries, criminally foreign influence use of investigators, the rules of wire crime acts methods, mail crimes, remote uses of the sense and sensibility